Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. So lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you. I know that life outside is so hard. There's a lot of things that can tear you apart. I know the roads sometimes feel lonely, but remember you're not the one and only. There's always someone there to help you, a helping hand to pull you through. There's only one thing you should do. Take my hand and join the Love and Life crew. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then let love and life guide you.
Good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And tonight we're going to have a really interesting and informal discussion with Joanne. But before I get to Joanne, we're also going to be selling or auctioning a painting. And the funds from this painting will go to Boere Droogtehelp. Actually, I lie. It's not a painting. It's a charcoal and chalk, but it's beautiful. It's called The Impy. There he is. Isn't that fantastic? Now, but first a little bit about the artist. Claire Weston is a South African artist living in Johannesburg, specializing in figurative work, portraiture, and landscapes. She grew up in a dry plain of Kimberley in southern Africa's Northern Cape province, with her father, a local doctor, and her mother, an accomplished farmer of cattle and sheep. Claire never lacked interesting subjects of abstract settings for her works. There is so much beauty all around us, she said. She lived in London for a number of years, and briefly in Tel Aviv. Whilst in London, Claire was a resident at the Wimbledon Art Studio. After 6 years overseas, Claire could not ignore the call of Africa, returning back full-time in 2005. So the title of the charcoal and chalk is Karabo, the Impi. And the medium is charcoal and chalk. It is a pastel framed work, and the size is 42 centimeters by 59 centimeters. The value is 4,500 Rand. The reserve price special for this auction, where the funds go directly to Boere Droogtehelp, is 2,500 Rand. To make a bid on this painting, just put painting in the side chat and the amount that you're willing to, or painting, or yeah, let's call it a painting. We'll call it a painting, guys, and just the amount, and then we'll take it from there. And of course, the minimum bid starting has got to be 2,500 Rand. All right, let's get back to the subject at hand. Give me a second while I just sort out this little technical side here. Get that out of the way. Okay, as we all know, the brutality shown in farm murders is huge and terrible, but it has been brushed under the carpet by the gangster ANC government, who have been accused of being complicit in some of the farm attacks. The brutality shown in the killings of that white family of 3 in the Northern Cape less than a week ago defies description. It's absolutely terrible. While the government is doing nothing about farm attacks, many individuals have stood up to the plate and offered to assist how and where they can. And one of those people is Joanne, who is a lovely lady. I've had the opportunity to chat to her on Skype. Let me get her on so we can find out more about what she is doing. Here we go. Hi, Joanne.
Good evening, how are you?
Excellent, thank you, excellent. Oh, I love your scarf.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
A great friend of mine gave it to me many years ago.
Well, I believe it's getting warmer in South Africa at the moment. It was very, very cold last week, but I believe it's sort of warming up a little.
Indeed, we had that fantastic snow and rain, and I hope that's not the end of it, because otherwise we're probably going to have another dry season and our dams are going to start running low. But we should just all have faith. I appreciate the water. I can operate much better.
Well, let's hope there is a lot of rain this year, because the droughts have been terrible. And talking about South Africa, give us your background, Joanne. Tell us a bit about your life pre-1994 and post-1994, how things have changed for you since the ANC government took over. Just give us a brief sort of overview on your life from being a little child and growing up.
I think that's quite important. There's a lot of talk about the born freeze and a lot of other factors, millenniums, you can call them what you want to. I was a lot Lameki. Now, I don't know if that's quite a popular thing in the English language and abroad, but it's called a late lamb. So in other words, I've got 2 older siblings, 8 years older than me. And I've got quite a few memories and flashbacks. My parents always say to me, like, how can you remember all this stuff? But they are quite old already. They're turning 74 and 78. And I'm going to say quickly good hello to them because they're watching. Hello, Anita. Hello, Embry. And I love you to the world and back.
Hi.
Okay, so the fact of the matter is, I remember when I was a kid, about 4 or 5 years old, I suppose, which was the hype. I'm 44 years old, if you want to put that in perspective. I'm turning 44 in December.
You're still young.
So I grew up. Thank you so much.
I'm an old fart.
I look much younger. I think I look much younger. Right? I look like 32, maybe.
I was thinking closer to 21, actually.
No, stop lying. Okay. That's not going to work. You're going to make me blush. Okay, so the fact of the matter is, I remember I grew up in a quite affluent area, if I can call it, in the old apartheid government. But I was born in 1976, when television just came in to South Africa, quite interesting enough. And I remember from my younger days how my parents, they were very, let's call them liberal, if I may use that word. I don't know what it means in this day. But I remember our gardeners having to have passes to come and work in our garden. My mom had the most beautiful garden. She used to actually have pictures in the garden and home, if anyone can remember that, if it's still maybe up and running. But anyway, my mom had a beautiful garden, and I remember her hiding gardeners who didn't have passes but did the most spectacular jobs in our garden and were the most spectacular people.
Right.
And so that was me growing up. Then I went through primary school, high school, very affluent area, as I said. I was definitely, I grew up in white privilege, let's call it that for tonight.
Right.
So I do realize that. I hate using that because, if you are born into it and if you grow up into it, it's not really your fault. It wasn't even my parents' fault. It might have been the people before their fault, but who cares? The point is, I grew up and I remember my parents hiding our gardeners in the back of our yard when the police came driving past. Then I went to primary school, high school, and in matric I was in 1994. And 1995 I went to varsity at Stellenbosch University, and I will never forget it. I held Madiba's hand and I was dancing in the streets because we all celebrated change in this country. We all voted for something that we desperately believed in because we all realized that what was going on was wrong. And definitely that was me. Then I left it for a couple of years because I had some personal battles. I am currently a single mom. I've got the most beautiful daughter of 9 years old. Her name is Zoe. And I've got so much support and I've got so many blessings still. I've got a full-time job during the day. I'm a sales lady. And I've always had people tell me I've got the gift of the gab. In fact, they tell me my mouth is too big.
I don't agree with that. I think you talk very, very well, and I love listening to you. Carry on.
Anyway, so when I started this group, there was no intention of me becoming an activist. In fact, my passion in life is food. Before I went into sales, I had a restaurant. My passion is food. Anything that tastes delicious and looks delicious, that's my passion. But I've always had a passion for people. I think my sister, she now stays in England. She's been staying there for the last 20 years. She instilled that in me. She was quite, I never agreed with her as such, but she instilled the fact that we should question ourselves. We should ask ourselves all the time, is this, and now I'm going to give something away. I am a child of God, not giving it away. I'm saying it tonight because I'm not shy of it. I respect each and every person on this planet because I do believe that my spiritual God is in and throughout of us, in every human being, in every living organism on this planet. So for me, I take what I can from good. And my sister has always been an inspiration in my life. But I never knew how I should do good. And I prayed and I felt that my prayers weren't answered. And then this group came about. Okay, I was thinking I'm going to have a food truck. I'm going to quit my job. This is what I was thinking in January before lockdown. I was going to quit my job and I'm going to get my Provident Fund money. I'm going to have a food truck and I'm going to do the things that I wanted to do.
Right.
And that was it. And then one day, after those 7 attacks in South Africa in 1 week on Facebook, because we all know Facebook gives you what you're talking about and what's relevant. So I was purely going through my own homepage and I saw a little picture on the right-hand side and I saw a picture for the first time that actually spoke 1,000 words to me. I saw a picture of, I think it's about 6 or 7 farmers. That's my group's profile picture of multiracial people with the same t-shirts on saying "Stop Farm Murders," and it caught my eye. You know those ads on the right, those
Yeah.
boring ads. And I clicked on it, and the group was, I think, about 10 days old, and they had 19 members. And from there, without even saying anything to the group, I shared it with my 1,000 or something personal friends with a letter, a heartfelt letter that said, "Guys, I'm so tired of being a Facebook warrior. And what are we going to do to change this?" And the next day we were 800 on the group. And then so it went on. And I'm proud to say that tonight we clicked over to 24,000 members.
Wow.
Yeah, just about, I think about 7 o'clock or so. And I know it seems a little in a big pond. However, our group is different. Our group is quite different from the rest. But yeah, that's me. So you go ahead and see what you want to ask me more.
Okay, well, first off, I've got your Facebook page linked below this video in the description so people can go and look at that. And of course, after this live stream, I'll send you a copy of the link to this live stream so you can happily put that on the Facebook page as well so people can come and see what was talked about. Right, now you mentioned a few things which, before we get started on the actual Facebook side, we have a number of groups that we support here on Loving Life who are actually trying to work against these terrible farm attacks and murders. One of those groups, for example, is a group called Black Monday, which are holding a protest on the 25th of August. No, 25th of October. Sorry, 25th of October.
That's correct.
And you know, that's going to be nationwide, and we'll be covering that live. Then you've got another group called Stop Farm Attacks and Murders. Have you heard of that one?
I have, about all of them, and I will advise you that all of us are in connection with each other.
So you do talk to each other. Oh, fantastic. Well,
Yes,
that's
we do.
great. Well, you're doing better than the secessionist groups, believe me. Trying to get them to work together is really hard.
Yes. Look, there's a whole lot of people involved. There's a whole lot of groups involved. On the 18th of July, for instance, we had a march with another group similar to ours. And I've got a lot of members asking me, like, why are we not joining forces? And then we've also got Move 1 Million, which we are part of. However, what I do feel that sets us apart from the other groups is if people visit our group and join it, they will see that I realize that no one from overseas, unfortunately, is going to come in with jets or fighter pilots and a whole...
In other words, save us.
No one's going to come save us, unfortunately. We've got, first of all, the history of South Africa, not less than 26 years ago. Okay, we must be real for once in our lives. I'm also hurt. I'm also angry. I see what happens to, I'm going to say it straight out, the white South Africans.
Yeah.
I'm fighting a cause which is, and I'm trying on my group to abolish the idea of racism. I'm trying to save all farmers in RSA. But however, I am not saying that 95% of the attacks is definitely politically motivated. I'm not going to throw facts tonight. That's not why I'm here. I'm here so that I can say that we need to start looking beyond that. We can have as many protests as we want. For instance, as you just mentioned, on the 18th of July, on my first event, when this group was only about 25 days old, I think, there was more than, I would say, 800 of my members there.
Wow.
We got no gratification for it. That's not the point, because no one here needs to get their face up onto any media platform except the farmers who's dying. My group is different from I think there's about 20 others. And yes, I've got respect for every single group, and I belong to most of them as well. I am part of Move 1 Million. I am part of direct elections. I am part of a whole lot of more of those groups. However, and I encourage all my members all the time, let's make it out there. Let's go out there. Let's put our faces out there. However, has it worked for us in the past, really? Is anyone at Parliament ever, they just take our placards down. They just come and hose us down with big water pumps when other people can burn Kraaifontein down in a weekend. Okay, so I'm not going to go into that because I don't go into politics. All I'm saying is we are now overstepping the boundaries. And we can do that, and it is all good. And I will be at every single march there is, and I will still do marches. But that's not what my group is about.
Right.
I think we should start thinking differently. What can we do to change this? Now, last night I watched, doesn't matter what I watched. The sentence that I got from it is that democracy doesn't happen in a day. Now, we have spent 26 odd years in this country under democracy, and not a day has gone better. It's just gone worse. So, in my opinion, we need to, we can be angry. We can say what we want to. I see the comments on my group, for instance. People are angry, they're hating, they're hurting from all sides. I'm not talking about just white people because that is not what my group is about.
Right.
There is no white genocide. There is white genocide. I'm going to say that now. I'm sorry, but
Yeah, I agree with you.
That is not what my cause is about. My cause is, what are we giving back? So I'm saying democracy doesn't happen overnight. I can say that, but what am I doing about it? What am I doing? So we, us whites, have this tendency to say, oh, we gave our country over in 95, and what have you done with it? We need to stop that thinking, and we need to ask ourselves, what have we done to instill our so-called fantastic values and love and God-fearing nature into the future? We allowed, and I've got a lot of people that post that on my group, and I actually declined that, and I want to apologize to them tonight because I'm too scared of controversy. But I'm going to say it tonight. What have we actually done to change that? Okay? And I know that a lot of people also want to say that let's help each other. If you look at everything all over the world, you look at Muslim religion, you look at the Jews, you look at, let's call it black South Africans, everybody, if they can teach the white South Africans one thing, it's about how to stand together or how to stand together for your values.
Right.
But we don't do it. We need to put our differences aside. Okay? There's no ways that we can carry on by focusing on our differences. So I put a post onto my group, and I get 700 comments within 10 minutes about hang them, kill them, all of that. That's not going to work further. Okay, we need to start thinking how we can change, and that is where my group comes in. So am I talking too much?
No. This is very interesting.
Okay, so I'm thinking of very different ways, and I ask for people, and I've got about 25,000 members almost, close to, and there's several other groups. But I've got 300 people, and it might not seem like a lot, but I've got 300 people that really puts their minds, as I do, throughout the day, through our normal day jobs, as to how we can make a difference. They might not even seem relevant. It might seem like a small idea, but it is an idea. Instead of just leaving in a comment or just asking, I can't share on this private group or something like that, is how can we change this? So the main aim of our group is, we've got an MPO. We've called on old South African Defence Force. We've called on everybody, young upcoming men who's got an interest in security and our cause. We've called on absolutely everyone because we have got people aboard, security companies. I've got on board trainers. I've got on board, my security company is already up and running and registered, so we can just move forward. But I do feel that let's not just help the farmers. Let's also help the unemployed in South Africa, because we know our numbers are right up there. I think we're number 1 or 2 or 3. I'm not about stats.
Right.
All I see is the suffering. So we need to help everything. And there's a couple of groups that just help white people and black people, but we need to instill in the kids in our school already, like I had when I was a child, and I couldn't wait to get to my uncle's farm to go see the Hans Bokkies and the Hans Lammetjies, and to go feed them and to go out on a drive and see the kudus. That is what nature is about. And to see how to plant a little plant and it grows, and how to, that it was exciting. It was almost more exciting than being a doctor or a lawyer or a politician.
Right.
Because that's all it is about now. It's a salary for the politician, and how can I steal some money? We need to instill in the youth, and that's where we need to find ways. And I'm hoping that this program of mine can grow in such an extent. I'm starting with the security force. I'm hoping to do counseling. And thirdly, I am getting every farmer on board to train some new farmers of every color in this country. We need to do that if we want to move forward. And now you can ask me some questions.
Okay, well, you've raised so many points here that I just want to chat about. First of all, you talked about your like a inner circle of the 300 members that are sort of like your think tank.
Yes.
I'm very blessed with my Loving Life channel. I have to tell you that I call it a community channel because I have a huge number of people who are better than friends. They're like family. You know, I all my moderators who actually moderating on the side chat, I've known for a long, long time. Marlena helps me, as you know, with my...
Marlena.
Yeah, she's a wonderful lady. But, you know, that's how this works. Without that family, the Loving Life channels would never get the traction they have. It's because, you know, we are a group that works together and have a common vision and a common goal. And I just think they're fantastic. And one of those people who has become part of our family is actually Annari du Plessis, who runs Go Purple. And I've invited her to join us tonight because she is a trauma counselor. And you know, that's something that I know you're involved in. Now, before we actually get Annari on joining us, how is your group different from other groups? Is it because of your training and the counselling and things like that you offer as services? What sets you apart from the other Facebook groups?
Look, as I said before, as much as I stand for protests and petitions and manifests and demands, they're not going to work in the current situation in South Africa. Unfortunately, we've gone beyond that. So I feel like we need to take action. So therefore, my group has started an NPO, and we've pulled on, like I said, security people that can actually offer security to farmers.
Right.
Of the security is quite diverse. And I do feel that, and then also we want to set up, we are quite, how can I put it, we've spread quite a bit over South Africa. We are located everywhere. And our aim is to set up an office in every major town in South Africa and have a funded security force with our NPO. So we've got 150 people on board already. I know it might seem like a small number. However, they have got some great skills.
Right.
We plan to do that further. And then I've got Janine Hendricks. I hope she doesn't mind me using her name. And I hope I can set her in touch with Annari, who feels that, you know, we all hear about these attacks, but who's there for them afterwards? You know, just showing up in court.
Yeah.
I want to take the hot-hearted people into consideration now.
That's
If
shocking.
someone was living there now that had to be there in court with them yesterday,
Mm.
can you imagine the pain and the suffering that those people would have to go through if they were there yesterday? So,
Mm.
who's there to stand by them? Nobody. There's
Yeah.
nobody. They're not getting respect from. I'm sorry to say, there's a hell of a lot of good policemen out there. I need to say this. On March on the 18th of July, I spoke to the policeman when I arrived there at 10 o'clock in the morning. And if it wasn't for them, we would have never left McDonald's for Cape Town.
Mm.
And if it wasn't for that march on the 18th of July, me and Debbie, it would have never have brought upon more marches and more courage for other people to have taken a stand. So I do agree with that. However, those people are sitting there in court and there's no one to represent them. There's no one that actually says, besides the legal team, and we all know that it's a process and it's cold and it's horrible and you're dealing with 100 of questions when you don't even know how to deal with what just happened to you. So we need people in place to support that. We need that.
Right.
We need to offer support to each other in general.
Okay. Now,
Instead-
Annari, Annari has
to leave
actually.
us-
Sorry,
Go on, Annari.
Annari has actually joined us. Annari, your camera's not on.
Oh my word. Hi Scott, can you hear me?
I can, and say hi to Joanne.
Hi,
Hi
Annari.
Joanne.
I was there last night, and believe me, it was a little visor on my laptop that I had to move. I am so IT incompatible.
I'm trying to see if I can let me just see if I can put myself out there. Am I there now? I'm in my mum's kitchen in Henneman in
Now
the
you're there.
States.
Now you're there. Now we see you.
I love you. Purple is my favorite color. I'm just saying. Sorry, I had to slip that in there.
I can see that around your neck, and I was listening to you on my other phone, and I'm just praying that the signal will be okay so that I don't look like this again, when I speak like this.
Slow motion, Annari.
Am I looking like that? Don't let me laugh because I don't have a good laugh. I sound like a South African hyena.
No, you don't.
Okay, well, you both do as well.
No,
Okay.
and Annari,
Yes.
one of the things that Joanne is setting up with her group is trauma counseling for people who've been victims of farm murders and farm attacks and stuff like that. Now, this is an area that you've got quite a lot of experience in, isn't it?
Well, I've learned, I think, from a lot of wonderful people who are highly trained, like Prof. Wenzel Kutzer, Dr. Yolanda Stein, a lot of people. And yes, I have sit with these, I call them victims. Trauma is trauma. Trauma is when you don't see something coming and then it comes right into your life and you were not prepared for it and it strikes you hard. And you have to deal with it. But before I talk, Scott, can I just say this? Because I am so emotional. That's why I actually didn't want to talk tonight. I just want to say a word of condolences. I don't know if you started with this, to the family of Tannie Braggie,
Oh, yeah.
Bonnie,
Yeah.
Elsabie, and the Hartswater community. I spoke to Isel from Afriforum this afternoon. I also want to stand a little bit still to the members of the Afriforum trauma team who were there and who actually are saying goodbye tonight to Ian Cameron. And also another farm attack came in this afternoon. So yeah, before we speak onto this,
Why do you need
I
to
just
say goodbye to Ian Cameron?
Ian's leaving Afriforum.
Ian is leaving Afriforum. Yeah, so they're having his goodbye tonight, but Isel said to me, it's going to be a hard evening because of the Hartswater case,
Yeah.
Daniel's case. And then there was another farm attack. But yeah, I just want to say we are in deep trouble with the farm murders and also rapes in the townships of women and children and the killing of women and children. It's actually everywhere. And then today, Cele, the Minister of Police, rendered the stats on crime in South Africa. And we've learned today that 58 people are killed every day or were killed in the last year.
Yes.
Every day, 58 people were killed in South Africa. And yeah, it's horrible. And I think for the first time, Beckett Cele today said, he raised the question on the Hartswater brutal killings of those people, on how can anybody kill somebody so brutally. So yeah, that is for me, but I just hope it's not ending there. That from now on, that they will realize that our farmers are being horrendously killed, and also women and children in locations. I mean, they are mutilated, they are burned, they are killed in the most horrific ways. And yeah, this is where we are in South Africa, Scott, and this is what, you know, I don't know if we have, I just want to say, I don't know if we ever will have enough counsellors, and I'm glad to hear that Joy thinks about this, because the trauma in South Africa that everybody experiences right now is immense. And when you are traumatized, you fight, you flight, or you freeze. And we who are living in South Africa, you get those who are constantly in a fighting mood. They want to kill everybody. They want to give an eye for an eye. And then you have those ones who are in denial. They are fleeing from everything that is bad, and they are saying, no, it's not so bad because it didn't happen to them. And then you get those who are frozen. They froze. They cannot live. They are hijacked by these miserable crimes. So this is where we are in South Africa, Scott, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Now, Joanne,
yes.
How many counsellors do you have in your group at this stage?
Well, first of all, Ian Cameron was one of the founding members of my group.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, he was one of the 19 members on my group when I joined. Okay. So before I became the so-called leader of it. However, I agree full on with Annari. You know, I almost feel like we need counseling, not only for what's happening. Annari, I don't know if you agree with me, but we have these horrible stats as about to what's happened to our farmers. And this is a cause that I didn't pick to follow. It was a calling for me. But I agree with you fully. And this is I hate using this word, but you know, when we hear people talking about white privilege or Black Lives Matter and all of that, what we don't understand is the fact that while we talk about, let's call it 600 to 800 members or 800 farmers that were killed since the start of this year in South Africa, how many people in a block, I'm sorry, I'm from the Western Cape, so I'm going to use the reference, Cloete. How many people of Block A in Cloete is killed and raped over a weekend that we also don't hear about? Okay, what we need to understand is that it is, yes, what is happening to our farmers is horrific. And that is what I'm fighting for as well. And I want to offer counseling and all of that to that. But what we need to understand before we can move further is that we need to see other people's pain. We need to relate. And this is something I use all the way in my group instead of hate. We can only take that little bit from ourselves. So if we go and look at what happens in a block in Cloete and where the Western Cape over a weekend, we'll see it's almost the numbers of rapes and hates or rapes and murders that happen in the whole of the farm genocides. So I'm not saying discard what's happening with the farmers because that's what I stand for. All I'm saying is we need to get over all the issues. We need to ask ourselves, how can we change this? What can we offer those desperate people that are killing and that is rather choosing the evil way and following what they are being taught over or fed through media and people that come in there that gives them a bag of milk and a t-shirt before voting time? What can we do as stronger people and as good South Africans to change that? I think that is the first part of counseling, is to relate and not hate. And then secondly, you asked me how many people I've got on board. I've got about 2 or 3 people. And I'll tell you what, the one is a psychologist. The other one believes in, no, I don't want to call it alternative healing methods, but let's call it that, alternative healing methods. So there's a vast variety, but I think by having variety, we will cover more areas.
Right. Now, Annari?
Yeah, Joanne, for 11 years, up until COVID-19, I have been serving our community in the Vaal. And in COVID-19 time, I actually came to the conclusion that because we've helped everybody, we've done so much in this past few months, only just with food and supporting victims and everything, that there are actually no role models in our country. They are fraught from the top, and I've made a decision about 3 months ago that I will help my own people. And when I say that, this is the first time that I have been saying this in the past 3 months, not because I went to jail after rescuing a 12-year-old black girl, okay? And I was prosecuted, I was trialed, everybody knows my story. And I have come to the conclusion, I am a white woman. I speak Afrikaans. God has put me on this earth. I can talk a little bit of Sotho because I am so sad that they took that out of schools, because that would have helped. But everything about the Afrikaner is fraud,
Yeah.
We never did anything good according to the leaders or to the people of this country.
Yeah.
No. Everything was fraud. But in my years, when it was the old apartheidsregering, we had Sotho in the schools. So I could say to somebody, Dumelang, Upila Juan, Kutula Kai, Upatla Ki, I can help myself. Yes. And then the new government came and Sotho was removed from the schools, and everything is sleg about wit and being Afrikaans. We all have to just fall over and die. But our money is good, and when there's food in my car, and I'm coming to bring food, and there are 20 black people, I have to first feed those 20 black people, and then if there's leftovers, I might give it to the white person, because I'm so sick and tired of white privilege that I can vomit, that is the word I want to use. I'm really getting upset and upworked, because every day, as it is now, we sit at our trauma center and everybody is welcome there. But the problem is, I don't know how it happened that there are 44 million blacks and 4 million whites. Because when I open my gate at the trauma center, everybody thinks it's their right that I, Annari du Plessis, must serve first the black people and then the criminals. Yes, I cannot do that anymore. And for too long, I had to kind of feel sorry, apologize that God made me white, first of all, that I could speak up. And I'm tired of that. And most of the donators who gave to me is white people. I don't have black people. I don't have surely the government. And I can call them by names now. Phoning me and say, wow, Annari, thank you a lot. We see you dumped out food parcels to our people. They tell me, because you are a white beach company, we cannot help you. That is what I was told. So for now, I have made a choice to say, Lord, I'm first of all a child of God. I want to have a pure heart. But in the word of God, it says I have to start in my own Judea, which means I want to see for the next 10, 20 years, for as long as I'm alive, that I can find good role models for my wit, Afrikaans sprekende and maybe English people, because they are white and black English people. I want to see if we can raise good role models, because I think that is our soldier stage. We have Julius Malema. Oh my word, that Okie, and I invited him. I wrote him letters and said, Mr. Malema,
PR manager of the year, PR manager of the last 10 years. He knows how to draw a crowd. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But we need to learn how to draw our own good crowd.
Amen. But I wanted to sit with him. I spoke to his guy on the phone and I said, I need to speak to Mr. Malema. I wrote letters to that boykie who said when the Driehoek learners were killed under that bridge that failed and that whatever his name is made the comments that he did. I wrote to him, but I think they are so afraid of white people. And I always thought, Malema, make peace of the fact that you are black. Then you can go somewhere with your life. Because you hate white people, but you always want to be in the presence of white people. I don't understand this.
Yes,
but he
yes.
never answered. So what we have in South Africa is we have Julius Malema as a role model. We have that Miximani from whatever thing as a role model. We have, yes. That one. I don't even want to mention his name because then he thinks he's very important. You know,
like a mole,
you know,
like a pussy.
Yeah, you know that one. Then you have Mansour. You know, he's a crazy one as well because you know what the sad part is? I wrote to them. I spoke to them on the phone. I said, I want to sit with you because as a white woman, Afrikaans woman, I need to understand where does your hatred for us comes from? You know, if I have to wash your feet, let me just understand that. Okay, so
I'm
then
not washing nobody's feet.
Yeah, I will wash.
I'm not washing nobody's feet.
I wouldn't wash his feet.
I'm not even washing my own feet.
The reason for that was I was willing. I heard you say it in your video that you're a child of God. So I was willing to do that in order to restore some of the things that was wrong. Okay, but my problem is
it won't help.
Yeah, but that was the thing. I will not give them food anymore because I've realized that I can give him a bread now. Tomorrow he will slice an old lady's throat and he will still rape her. So I will not buy his love anymore. So the things that we should do, Joanne, we should start working with our own people and then raise up role models with cultures and communities that we can work with, you know, but I cannot. I mean, when I rescued that little girl, that 12-year-old, I could hold her. I could cry with her, but I could not understand her. She could not understand me.
Yes.
And there is a lot of hatred. And for years, we have been
what
putting
is the hatred about? You know, can I just say something? So, you know, Scott asked me earlier on, where did I come from? I literally left high school in 94. I matriculated. It was still standards. I matriculated. So where does this hate come from? Because all the crimes that's currently committed are mostly, I don't like facts, but if you look at it, the facts, you'll see even the Hartswater case, they haven't even lived 26 years. Okay? So where does it come from? Okay.
It must be indoctrination.
Our leaders.
Our leaders, and we've got Julia screaming this, and we see all the people that's got posters around them, and we've got kill the Boer, kill that, all that. But you know what, as a normal person, if I hear that, even if it was my leader, I mean, we all had that as white. I had that as a white South African before I left school. I didn't have leaders screaming out on the news, go kill people, but I did have the apartheid government. But that didn't make me go out and hate black people. That actually made me go out and wanted to change for the better. So what is actually going on that has caused this hatred amongst the youth of South Africa currently? Now, I don't hate going into politics because I know actually nothing about it. But do you remember we used to have an ANC Youth League? Yes. And then strangely they disappeared. And comfortably enough, a EFF was started to take the heat off the ANC government. Okay. Now why? I thought about that only this afternoon in the car. I've been thinking about it a lot. But now why would an EFF support or go so much against a minority of 10% of this country who doesn't even have a say in this country anymore? Why would the EFF make it their mission to defeat the minority when their main issue as a political party in a country should be to defend the leading opposition, who is the ANC. Okay? Why is there even two parties if they are on the same boat? So I'll tell you what happened, but this is my opinion. The ANC Youth League is now the EFF, but I'm not going into that further. I'm getting loud and I'm getting angry, but I'm saying that. Okay, so now, as a minority, we need to realize that we are up against two major political forces here. We are not up against 60% and having 30. We are up against 90% against 10%, but those people are scared to vote as much as our farmers are scared to bring their names forward and to stand for themselves at this stage. So like you said, we need to lead by example. We need to stop focusing on the past. In my opinion, the government is there in any country to do, I hope I can't right now, but I think 5 things. They need to secure health, first of all, okay? I'm not talking about pandemic and corona, I'm not going into that. But they need to have health. Infrastructure. They need to secure a country's borders. They need to have a defense system and they need to have a police system. Have I left anything out? But for the last 26, since we became the role model for the world as a democratic country under Nelson Mandela, nothing democratic has happened in this country. Nothing whatsoever. So for the last 26 years, nothing but fighting about who gets the most seats in parliament and who can steal the whole most money. So whatever commission is set up to investigate another commission, to investigate another commission, to investigate. And when you are found of fucking committed, ooh, did I just swear on my thing? Sorry.
Carry on.
I'm sorry. Skip that. But when you are found to be guilty, you simply move to another department. We can go on about that for another 26 years. We need to start thinking about what are we going to do from today onwards to change that. What are we going to do different? We don't need to be a force. We need to just use our brains. Okay. Most of our knowledge and our expertise in this country left in 95 already, and when they all got retrenchments and packages to say, okay, bye, your job is done, whatever, let's move on to the next ones. And now there's no more skills in this country. Nothing's been maintained. In the last 26 years, nothing except stadiums for a World Cup soccer game was built in this country. In fact, the little bit that was built has been burnt down. So unless we take a stand right now and today, and my cause starting with farmers and the future, this country is going to be gone in less than a year. Zimbabwe was a slow-moving cycle because it didn't really offer the world much or any of that. But I'm telling you now, we were under sanctions as a self-supporting country for years under apartheid, which was wrong. We were a self-sufficient country, and we can go back to that if we all stand together. The 20% in this country that is standing for right, and there's more than 20%, there's 60% and they're just shit scared. But the 20% in this country must stand up now and make a difference. Not just say and comment on a Facebook group. I'm so sick and tired of half of my members. I'm sorry, members, but it's true. We need to take action like myself, Annari, and Scott is doing tonight.
Okay, now just before Annari responds to that, guys, I just want to address the side chat and all the people watching. We've got about 350 watching at the moment. Here's this beautiful charcoal piece of art that is on auction tonight. The proceeds go to Boere Droogte Help, and
fantastic.
They are really battling at the moment. The reserve price is 2,500 rand. Please get your bids in. Just put them into the side chat, and Marlena will just keep us up to date as to what's happening there. But there's a painting that's absolutely magnificent. Sorry, not a painting, the charcoal. All right, now let's put that to one side. Also, for those who are watching, please, if you have questions you'd like to put to Joanne and Annari, please put them in the side chat, and the moderators will post them later when we're ready to get to those. All right, now Annari, back to you.
Well, Scott, I've listened to Joanne, and I see she still wants to change the world, and I've been trying to do that, I think, for the past 11 years of my life. being in jail, being convicted, being found not guilty in high court, being hated by so many white people and black people for doing the right things. I'm at that place where I just say, I want to be there for my own people. I am so proud to be a white lady who speaks Afrikaans, who speaks English, and who can help myself in South Sudan by respecting somebody else. And I want to start with myself, but I don't want to be left apologetic any longer for being white, because yes, we also have an adoptive little boy, which a prostitute left at us 10 years ago at the trauma center, and he was placed with us and he's still with us, and he was born from a rape. So he's got a darkish skin color. It's like Sia Kulisi and his white wife. So when he says Black Lives Matter, everybody asks, okay, but what about your wife and what about your children?
Yeah.
And for me right now, I'm teaching my little boy Mornay to be happy with how God created him. It's not where he came from. It is where he is going. So I want to start with me. I want to respect every color in our country living here, Indian, colored, whatever. But if I have food and I am standing at my trauma center with my food parcels, I don't want to be bullied anymore to say, you are white privilege, you are a bitch, you are this, you are that. You have to, like the ANC people who stopped at the trauma center with their Mahindra Bakkie, demanding their food parcels and their food vouchers. I will not accept that any longer. I will always treat you with respect. I will help build on our schools because our people are working hard. Our teachers want to be teachers. They see the importance of education. They are doing beyond themselves for their children. But then I've got the teacher who's somebody in a location area who doesn't feel the same way. I can't change her. She needs to look at her inside. And I've sit with these teachers, all colors, because we want to teach them. Because when a girl in a school, listen to this, Scott, in the past 11 years, and it's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's a bloody human thing in schools, in churches. When the little girl comes to the dominee and say, Oom, my papa verkrag my, dominee, pastor, my father is raping me. The dominee, he gets traumatized. He doesn't want to speak about sex. So he will say to her, you know what, I'll speak to your mommy about that. And what does the Children Act say? You have to report it. They don't report it because what about the church name? The school scenario. When a child in a school reports sexual abuse or whatever, the teachers does not want to report that because what about the school's name? So now the whole system is broken. It is like that. But we at the Purple Foundation have decided to start one by one. I will teach you respect by treating you with respect, and I will honor your story of tragedy, your pain, because I know that pain is pain. But I have made with my team an informed decision to say that for too long, it is been spoken that white people are privileged and my skin color is wrong and I'm praat ek nog Afrikaans. That is not okay. It is. I am going to help those always. I don't care what your color. If you come to the trauma center, we will help you. But I will not be bullied any longer. And I believe that is the way forward. I said it, I think, last night when we visited Leilani to hand over her gift, Scott, I stood there and I said, if everybody living in South Africa, and I'm talking from the oldest person in 90 years, being the youngest one with a little bit of sense, if we can all be happy in our skins and we can deal with the pain of our past, and then we can take each other's hands and we can say, you know what? I understand that you had pain in your past. I also had pain in my past. But I want to take your hand as a white South Afrikaanse sprekende vrou, and I want to build a new country where we have place and room for each other. But the problem, Scott, is 44 million against 4 million. And then we don't talk about the brown people and we don't talk about the Indian people. And they are also hit by crime. So for me, and Joanne, I'm so much looking forward to watch you and follow you. And I'm also looking forward maybe to take hands in future with Afriforum. The thing is, I think there's a lot of broken people in our country and we need to deal with the pain. And dealing with the pain.
I just want to say, I just want to say that I think that a large percentage of people in South Africa suffer from PTSD and they don't even realize it. One of the things that I hear so much is that people migrate out of South Africa and they move to a country like Australia and they're still looking over their shoulders in the street and they're still locking their doors and they're still scared someone's going to attack them every night. You know, we are so fortunate here in Australia. We don't have that environment, and I think it's this. You raised it, Annari, the fight, the flight, the freezing. I think that is a result of people suffering from PTSD, and I think the whole country is in a. It's. I think trauma counseling is such an important thing for the people of South Africa because they don't realize that they're in this condition. What are your thoughts, Joanne?
May I say something about that?
Yeah, please.
A few years ago, quite a few, I was quite fortunate to spend, I was still doing au pair work. I'm talking about 94, let me just think quickly, 94, 95, 96, 97. Around about 97, I went to Australia for about 5 weeks with a family from South Africa. I was an au pair with them. I did preschool teaching, studying at night. So I went up there with them. And it was merely 5 years after I switched over in this country. And I'll tell you what, the first week in Australia, walking into any shop, all I got was, doesn't matter if you had a Eastern face, Chinese people from Chinese descent or whoever, I got, "G'day, mate. How are you doing? So what was your breakfast like this morning? And what size do you wear?" And I was like, for a week there, I was like, oh my word, get out of my personal space. What has it got to do with you? And at one moment I realized if you've had the opportunity to walk down Sydney along the beach, the other side of the Sydney, by the promenade. It looks very much like Sea Point Promenade. Am I right? Have you been there, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I'm just trying to think of the name of that famous beach. Oh, gosh.
Yes.
What was it? Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Anyone that's been there and in Sea Point will know that it looks like the same beach almost. And what hit me was, when I was a kid, was my parents taking us on a Sunday afternoon for ice cream, either at Tableview or to Sea Point, and we'd walk along the promenade. And then I thought about, remember back in the day when you walked into a Fushini in South Africa and someone asked you, "Oh, what size do you wear, ma'am? How can I help you? And how was your morning?" Not the hell in this country anymore. You get to the counter where you pay probably 20% above or let's call it 50% where above you have to pay, because we are now such a low established country, a junk status. And now people don't even greet you. You actually have to ask them, by the time you've already swiped your card and entered your PIN, "Can I please have a slip?" They don't even greet you. In one of our top stores in South Africa, by the way, who all benefits from farms, I'm not going to name names now. So what hit me when I was there, I mean, like almost a good 20 years ago already, was like, how could this country go backwards so quickly? How could people not care about each other anymore? And I want to say to you that, yes, we are all in that shock, and I agree with you. And don't get me wrong, I'm not, how can I put it? I have to go by faith, Annari. I have to go by the fact that 50 days ago, this was not what I envisaged for my life. I was a car sales lady with a dream to go back to my food passion. And then I saw a little picture on the right-hand side of a Facebook page, and now I've got 25,000 members who depends on me. And I try and run a tight shift, but I do agree with you, help our own people. But I'm going to ask you one thing. You know what pisses me off the most when our dearly beloved president comes on for one of his famous speeches during lockdown, is when he uses the word "our people."
Yeah.
Who the hell is our people? That's where we need to stop right there. So I understand you wanting to white people, and I feel the same way. And trust me, I'll be honest, I also rather buy a loaf of bread for the white person at the engine shop, but sometimes I don't, because I sit there and I think to myself, no, 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 no. Don't sit here, because I know I see you 3 weeks later down the road where I know the people buy their drugs from. But then, you know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is, yes, we need to focus on the fact that we've all been hurt. I said it earlier on in a conversation with Scott before we came on live tonight. I said I heard a speech last night that Barack Obama gave. Please don't go into that. But he said one thing. Democracy doesn't happen overnight. And we all, the little bit of South African white people that thought we gave our country away, or if we took it away, or he traded us, or whatever people might think, we never did that. Okay, democracy is something you need to work at. And we, as white people, our people, need to support each other. I agree with that, because that's what I said earlier on. If we can take a lesson worldwide from things that doesn't turn out so well, but from Islam people and from the Jews and from the black people in South Africa, even though their cause is not good when they break down Prefontaine in a weekend or whatever. But what we can learn from them is how they stand together. Okay, but our people, we must make sure is not the same thing that Cyril does when he calls our people on that speech on his TV channel, on the news that he feeds. Have you ever realized how every time he starts with, we thank our news broadcasters for getting our message across. Now, we all know the law says that already, but let's be different. Let's not just do our people, because we are amazing people. Let's do more. Let's get those kids that we are thinking, those black kids and those colored kids and whoever we're thinking we're really helping. Let's take it a step further and say, come stay on my farm, and I will teach you how to farm. I know, I see your face, Annari. And you've been dealing with the trauma part of it. But we need to do that. We cannot just stand for the white farmers in this country. We can't. We're not going to get help from the outside world that way either.
Joanne, can
and
I...
God, I'm sorry to say, but God taught me that each and every person in living form on this life, he is through and he is part of. So we cannot, the disciples of Jesus was people that came from horrible times. So let's not, be careful who's our people. We all are people, in my opinion. Sorry.
That's okay. Now, can I just make a comment? Joanne, I have to say that there is a huge amount of white people living in squatter camps. And, they're there because of the racist economic policies of this ANC government, like black economic empowerment. Now, my view is that those are the people who should go to the front of the queue when it comes to bringing people onto a farm, because their children are going through the same sort of trauma that everyone else is going through, but they have been politically put them in that position.
Okay, but what's your reason for, what is your reason, Scott, for saying that only white people should have that from squatter camps? What about, we need to realize that government is not just letting us white people down. They're letting 90% of this country down.
Look, I get that, but sorry, carry on, Annari.
I'm listening.
Joanne, I like to differ from each other. For me, that is awesome, because I like it to, because I hate it to be in a conversation and everybody says, yeah. So what I just want to say to you this, and this is what I've learned in 11 years' times, going through a lot of stuff. And let me say this. I actually don't care right now anymore about, how can I say this now? Look, white people are freaking lazy right now. They all have, because of the last 26 years, they have become, and let me explain where this comes from. If you look at the soapies that is shown on TV, Seven Alarm and all these rubbish, the moral decay of our country. If you look at the black soapies, you know what? Adults in our country is for me horrifying, and not all of them, but most of them. Because when 50 Shades of Grey is showing at a cinema in the Vaal Triangle, the employer pulls up that. But listen to this, the employer of a huge company buys tickets for every woman in the company to go look at that filth, okay? So, the moral decay, most of the women go look at the stats of pornographic things. It was always said that white males are more into porn, but now it's women, white women, who are more into porn. So what I'm actually wanting to say is, you know, I've been working with the children for the past 3, 4, 5 years. We've been fighting for children. Oh my word, Joanne, you can come and visit me and come and read the files in my office, okay? So every time I'm sitting with a child, a white or a black child, I look into their eyes and I want to help. And God knows my heart. My sister, we help. We walk with them, we go with them, we give everything. At the end of the day, they go back to their stupid parents who teaches them that white people are rubbish and garbage. When you walk into a mall, you can somewhat quickly see who are the children who white people are being used to be the Goga mark for Baba Bang. You know, we are the boogeyman. The white people are the boogeymans in our country. So I love children. So I would speak to a black child, hi, they like this because I'm like the boogie woman, okay? But then the same goes for the white children. When they see a black person, the white child would go, oh, it's the boogeyman. So the problem for me in our country is, that's why I'm saying this. In Van der Bijl Park. Van der Bijl Park, referenties Veil van der Bijl. So what I want to say is, Joanne, I've realized that in my town, in our community, I listen, you say that you want to set up in every town, you want to set up these support or trauma centers or support centers or whatever. So what I've learned is, if I cannot start with my own people and start to build up good role models, I wanted to say, I love Steve Hofmeyer to bits, okay? He's a good singer, but this is the role models we have in our country. Julius Malema, Steve Hofmeyer, Jacob Zuma, Black Land First, Mansour, those are the role models. So
why don't we become role models? Why don't you and me become role models?
The last time when I sat to go to the toilet, so I'm a woman, so I need to teach the girls. So I want to see white men built up in our country. And I see, unfortunately, from where I stand, I see white men living maybe, Scott, with your post-traumatic stress disorder, because many of them comes from the Wehrmacht days where they had to go to the army and 26 later, I don't know. But we need families, men and women. And I want to talk about my people. Joanne, don't understand me wrong. I'm not against black people. And those who know my life story will know I will die. I went to jail. I was prosecuted. I almost lost everything for Little Lerato. But at the end of the day, I was attacked by the fact that, what's your story, white bitch? What do you want with this black girl coming from black people? So the question is, can we indeed make a difference? Can you make a difference in a community where the black children are being taught by their peers all the bad stuff about white people? I don't want to waste my time anymore.
Okay,
Annari, I understand that.
Over to you, Joanne.
Sorry, so Annari, I understand you 100%. I don't disagree with you on any point, okay? Just to say, that is what sets my group apart from everything as well, because I also realized the other side. What about, I had a brother that was forced to get on a train one Saturday morning to go to either Air Force, military, or the Navy. He had no choice. He had to go. Okay, he was on the border. He was that last line of intake. He had no choice. And so did the people not before that. So we get all of that. And I agree with you. Okay, and I know that maybe my ideas are, it might seem, because you've been longer in the actual field as it, but you know what, I agree with you, and that's what I try and tell all my members every day, is that little bit of difference that you can make in your community with your people, that is the best that you can do. Don't think that I think I'm going to change the world for 1 minute in that time. I don't like even being on there. I can't wait to finish up. I don't like my face on here. Thank God I can't see myself. It's somewhere there in the top right corner. But for all means, that is not
You
what
both
it
look
is.
gorgeous.
Okay. Thank you. I like her hair more than mine. But the point is, so I'll have you know that I agree that we also need to think about all those guys that were just lost. Old SADF members, I'm going to always get it wrong, and SANDF members, if I've got that right. But you know what? That's why my security company that I'm starting now, with the help of a whole lot of security companies in South Africa, but it's the first group that actually has an NPO fund where we're going to help people. Okay, so the counseling side is going to be part of it. And then also later, eventually, if this goes far enough, I need to let everyone understand that no one's going to come flying in to help us. It's people like you and me off the streets in a small little community. I'm a single mom with a daughter that hardly has petrol enough in this coronavirus to get home and back every day to come and earn a living, like everybody. Okay, but there's people much worse than us. I'm not saying that. But I understand that I'm also trying to help my people. But my people are quite diverse. Your community, and this is what I've realized from this conversation, and that's why I'm so grateful for this once again. And I hope you can learn from it too. You know, some people attack me for saying that Nelson Mandela is a form of a hero. And they'll say, like, I mean, I lost so many security members. I'm going to go into it. And I do understand that there's all sorts of things behind that. But what I saw in the last maybe 4 years of his life, I took 3 things from it so that I can grow. I'm not making Mandela a hero. I'm not making anybody a hero, and I don't hope to make myself or you a hero. Okay. This is what you and me and myself and Scotty are doing right now, is how everybody should be thinking. The fact that we're talking about it, you know what I've come to realize now? Just the fact that you're in Van der Bijl Park and I'm in Kushiku, DA Run, Western Cape, where everything is running much smoother, is a totally different thing. So therein lies our first problem, that we have so many provinces in this country. And I mean, 4 years ago, I spent 4 months in Brandfort, very close to Hartswater and all those things where all that nonsense happened now. I heard this morning, I got a message from a group member in Brandfort, where I actually had a sabbatical in my life 4 years ago. I spent 4 months there. The population, I Googled it before I went there, there was population 80. So I still went there.
Joanne, I'm going there tomorrow to Brandfort.
Okay,
Brandfort
if you take the 3rd Street right, you'll find a shop with a cow at the back where you can still get freshly squeezed milk. Okay, but that's where I'm not joking. You actually go buy the milk at a cow. It's a shop, but the cow's at the back. And kids still ride on the back of a bakkie. Kids still sit on the back of the bakkie with smiles. But right across the way, they're being attacked. Now, today I got from someone staying there, a friend of a family member, that they had to go park their trucks and tractors and all sorts of things there tonight to protect themselves from the people coming across the road from the squatter camps.
Wow.
So what I'm trying to say is every area in this country, that's the first problem, is we're allowing 11 or 12 different languages. We've got different provinces in a small country like South Africa. We're not the United States. We need to stand together. We need to sit down. A government needs to sit down and to think, how are we going to get everyone onto par to the top province? Not who's got the most seats in the house and who can kill each other the best. So, you know, one thing I've learned from this chat this evening is that I must respect, I always say to my group, relate instead of hate. But with you, it's not the case. It's a relate and learn. I mean, I now realize from this conversation that what you're experiencing up there is way different. And that brings me to a topic that I actually asked Scott that I wanted to speak about. Our rich farmers versus our poor farmers. I work very fortunately enough in, I'm going to say the area in Paarl. And I mean, all around me, Durbanville, Stellenbosch, Worcester, Ceres, all of there is some very wealthy farms. There is farm companies, there's farm industries, you know what I'm saying? And what are they doing to protect those smaller farmers that doesn't have a fence, that can't afford the security equipment, that can't, or that's miles away from the nearest police station? Some of the farms in South Africa are still on dialing codes. Like an area, and then you go like 1212, and they're still on a line. They're not even on a telecom line yet in this country. So how can we help the smaller farmers? How are the bigger farmers going to help the smaller farmers as well? So that's why I say we need to have more conversations like this and learn from each other. That's so important, in my opinion.
Yeah. Now, just before you respond, Annari,
Yes.
you raised a very good and valid point, Joanne, and that is, I've got a few things I need to chat to you about with your organization, which we haven't got to because this conversation became so animated that it kind of took on a life of its own. So,
Oh, I'm so sorry. Should have been a fan of the meeting.
no, it's good. It's all good. It's lovely. But I do want to run a few questions past you, Joanne, because this is important. Okay, let's look at the correspondence that you send to all companies in South Africa benefiting from our farmers, heads of state, prime ministers, political parties, etc., etc., etc. Tell us about what your organization does there.
Okay, so in my group, as I said, I think we're growing very fast. In about 50 days, we're over 25,000 members. But unlike the other groups, I streamlined my page, and I've got very strict rules, so much so that I've had to remove admin and put them back in place and all of that, because I do feel that we need to be a little bit different. So first of all, we have written letters to all companies in South Africa, from food chain stores to tractor manufacturers or importers, anyone that benefits from every possible farmer. I've got research teams in the background that is searching day and night and sending me email addresses to the top of those countries. We've sent about this afternoon, about 560 letters just to South African companies to ask them what is their standpoint, seeing that they are companies benefiting from farm produce or from farmers. What is their standpoint, first of all, on what's going on in South Africa? And secondly, what are they going to do about it? Okay. We've also, in the last 2 weeks, I must say, the group has now started to touch sites internationally. And I've had a lot of people from overseas, and they're spreading the word. And we have also gotten addresses from either, whether it's broadcasting teams, MPs, heads of states, parliament officials. The lists are endless. I've got an admin lady that all she does is do emails and send out letters for me on a daily occasion. That, by the way, has not been written by the Afrikaans poppy. They're very nicely formulated by letter reviewers, and to see how they can help us. Okay. So on the correspondence side, we've started. I've received a few feedbacks. It hasn't been good. So I want to tell everybody that no one's going to come sweeping in and save us. Unfortunately, we are under a pandemic state in the whole world. We're not going into that and everybody's opinions on that. But everybody's got enough crises to deal with. And as much as we think that our issue is a concern, they've already exhausted South Africa's resources long time ago, unfortunately. I mean, all the natural resources and the things that made this country strong is long gone. So now it's pretty much for other countries to come and take over and us to be sold out. So no one's going to come sweep in for a small country at the bottom of Africa to come and save us. But we do need to make it aware overseas as well. But we need to stand up for ourselves. But we are in correspondence with local people. Also, the reason why I am writing to local companies is there's a lot of protests going on. And I
You have an
was
event
very-
planned, don't you?
I do have an event planned, but it's something besides a march, because I do think we are barking up the wrong tree at the moment.
Are you there, Joanne? Oh, you're back. You got a bad signal coming through here. Oops.
Someone just tried to. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, okay. So we can get to Parliament, we can go protest there, but we're going to get blown away with water cannons when. So I don't think that the petitions and the marches and all of that is really going to bring change. First of all, I think that we need to take action, like I want to do with my security company and Annari with you and counseling and all of that. And thirdly, getting it out there, but we need to start looking after ourselves. That's why I want to create the NPO with people that's like-minded to support us, to support people that's like-minded, because good will prevail. I have to believe that, Annari. I'm sure you believe that. As much as we feel, why am I doing this? I mean, I don't even see my 9-year-old daughter for the last 6 weeks. I haven't seen her properly, if I can call it that. But I do believe that if we put our heads to it and we start working together and we have conversations like this and we differ. I mean, look at us now. We've differed from opinion, but actually we can relate. So I think if we keep on doing that, we will slowly start securing our future. We are not going to change this country in the next 20 years back to where it was. We need to realize that from last night backwards, it all has been a stuff up. What can we do forward? Okay, what can we do forward? And I respect each and every bit. Annari, if you need to start working with the people around you, so be it. If God gave me the gift of the gab and a big mouth and nothing else to create a group with 30,000 people, so be it. If God gave someone else another group with 30,000 people, if 5 groups stood together and made 1 million, if we did a process and if a protest, or if we did an event like I'm planning, I don't want to go into detail, but it's going to involve the farmers because they need to speak up for themselves as well. Okay, so I am calling on all farmers in South Africa who's got a tractor or a truck or a big ass farm, if I can call it that. And I'm going to give you some idea now, and whoever wants to do this before me and steal the idea, go ahead, because it's not about me, it's about saving South Africa and our farmers and our future and our food. I want to create a sign on a farmer's land with farmers and tractors. I don't know if you can all remember the ad in 1980 something, VW and me and Dave Kramer, and everybody came together and with cars formed a VW sign. Go watch that movie tonight, people, or go Google it. VW sign 1982, I think it was. David Kramer. Everyone came together and formed a VW sign in the field. And it became one of the best ads in the history of adverts in the world, not South Africa. Back in those days, 6 or 7 years after we joined TV, it was one of the most seen ads in the world. If we can create the farmers on a field with tractors and trucks and people standing together of all races and all races and nations, and cry out, help RSA farmers, and we can have everyone aboard, the whole world will see. The whole world must look. Okay, let's not cry, help us, we're so pathetic. It's only us, it's white genocide. That's not working. As an apartheid government from just merely 26 years back in a world of 400, 500 years old or even more, 26 years of trying to make a change is not like really a stamp in our book to say we're doing a difference. Let's pull this country together. Let's show the world we are united, and let's cry for help and out there. That's my next event. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you know what? If I think about that ad from 1982, I still get goosebumps. And everybody in this country that I've spoken to does. VW, this is not an ad for you. Go away.
Well, the International Space Station would probably be able to pick it up from the ground, you know.
We could do it close to Malgas. We could do it close to Malgas because they picked that up already. You know what I'm saying?
But you could also get someone with a drone who flies over it, and that would be fantastic.
I've got filming companies. I've got a chopper on board. I've got drones on board. thing set up. I just need the farmers
Well,
because they're scared. They're scared to say, here I am. A few of them have come across on my group and they send me an inbox message, and as soon as I go like, okay, let's do this, then they go like, oh yeah, but they're scared. They're going to be the next victim, unfortunately.
crazy. Now, Annari, is there something you want to say?
Yeah, Scott, I just wanted to say to Joanne, about 6 years ago, we have established support groups around South Africa, started in the Western Cape, Ceres, Bloemfontein, Welkom. The problem with these things is the brutality of any crime has been escalating over the past years.
Yeah.
It's not just, so what I want to, yeah, but it's not just the farm murders now. I mean, I've got a cross in my trauma center with, I think there's 100 faces of their children on that cross. I printed it out and I've put it on that cross so that I can remember each day, why am I doing what I'm doing? So what I want to say is, for me, there's a difference between, and that is what I've learned, Joanne, counseling and trauma support. Because at a scene where there were a brutal killing of any kind, you cannot really do counseling. And then the other side of the coin is, if there is a court case, if people are being catched and brought to trial, those people have to be supported. And Scott, I've spoken to Colleen and Joanne, I tried to phone you a bit earlier because I want to link you to some of these people. No, it's fine. So what I wanted you to hear me say right now is that it's not the same like it was like even 2 years ago. The brutality has been escalating. And I blame it also on media, on the television programs, the soapies, all the rubbish that they are showing in our country on television. I mean, I remember as a young child, TV was fun. And when Dallas came on, we were sent to our rooms. Yeah, you know, there was the moral of television was not what it is. It's now a pit of hell. It's horrible. So what I want you to hear me say is, I could not retain these people who have put up their hands and say, but I want to help. Because I think it needs, everybody thinks I'm crazy. I kind of think so myself because I'm crazy for Jesus and I know it's by his grace. And when I'm weak, like I was in this week, it's when I'm weak, he's strong. Okay?
Yes.
So what we need is a group of, and call them adults, warriors, who does not proclaim this life matters.
No.
Yes, all life matters, but that all means that that is my belief, like you said. I have to start in my culture, met my Afrikaans, with my Afrikaans speaking people, and say to my Selena Mogusen, because I've got a partner, and Scott, maybe one time I have to have her with, and then she can put, because she cried this week for the Bruns. She cried for every farm murder because she cannot believe the brutality of these black people. Okay, so what I want to hear you say, yeah, Joanne, so when I'm saying I'm going to work with my people, and that is what I've learned, we cannot retain them because they get, like Ian said to me 2 weeks ago, Ian Cameron, he stood at 3,000 farm murders in the past 7 years. I mean, 3,000. And when you are on these crime scenes, might it be a rape, a normal killing, a farmer killing, whatever, it takes a little bit away from you. Unless you go to God and fill up and give it to him, you cannot stay. So my dream for South Africa is to start in my own culture with my own people, and that calls for Selena doing the exact same thing in her culture with her people, but with me and her coming around the table, talking about the same value, not the same belief, because I believe that everybody has the right to his own, but I'm talking about moral values. We think about good. Yes, and then let's when abortion was agreed to upon, think about the millions of babies who are murdered every year. And then we talk about a 12-year-old in South Africa who can walk into a clinic and say, I'm pregnant, I want to abort. 12 years old.
Wow.
That is where I'm saying we have to start. Because that 12-year-old can go without her mother. The abortion pill is being sold in our local schools. So tonight I can have sex. Tomorrow morning I buy the morning after tablet and I get rid of the possibility of falling pregnant. We've got the blessers in the Vaal Triangle area. I don't know if you know the blessers, but that is the older women who like the school children, who have sex with them, who blesses them. That's why they're called the blessers. They bless them with cell phones and jewelry and all these kind of stuff. So what I'm saying is we as adults need to focus. That is my belief. I need to sit and say, Selena, you're going to take your group of people, your culture, your people. I'm going to take mine. But we work out what is a good moral in our country. First of all, is it okay to have sex? They have changed the statutory rape legislation. That was a big mistake because now old women are going for children and it's okay. They don't get caught, they don't get arrested, they don't get found guilty. So the problem in our country is, that's why I'm saying, and just before we go, I wanted you to hear me, to find people in towns who buy into our hearts, who will carry our beliefs, who will live what we live, is a very challenging thing. Because I was telling, I think, Scott, the other night that I trained a lady in Secunda because we've got the Melita training manual, which we wrote, how to deal with a rape, if you've been raped. And then we've got a very easy trauma course that I've written based on what I was learned in the past 11 years. So I told her, I trained that lady in Secunda, but she liked to skop, skiet and donor, so it doesn't matter if I train her to stay calm and to be professional and to be accountable. She would somewhere take the fist and put it in that policeman's face. And that comes with a lot of other problems. So that's why after 11 years, I've made a decision to say that I will go back to the humble, small beginnings, and we will start in our own community with our own families who are struggling and say, right, what is your belief system? What is your morals? And then from there, we will work with these families and we will train, because I believe God has given me so much. I've learned so much in 11 years that I would love to actually bring onto other people. But remember, every town differs. In our municipality, 800, listen to this, Joanne, you are in you are in a good country. In our municipality, 876 million rand was stolen in the last few years. We are in deep trouble in Vanderbijl. We have communities that goes without power for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, have it for only 1 week, then it's down for. So what I'm saying is, it is time for me, Annari, to acknowledge, and that took a hell of a lot because I kind of where you are now, I were there.
I'm learning.
I have to start with me, and I have to start with my people. That man who's beating up his wife because he's frustrated from what happened in the army many years ago. And then he lost his job. I need to sit him at my chair and say, listen, we're going to deal with that pain now. And you're going to deal with it. And you're going to man up and you're going to stand up and you're going to be active in your community. First of all, as a good father, as a good husband, and then maybe as the rest. So I really want to meet you. I will follow you. I would love to share.
You're going to teach me.
Well, I would love to do that, but
we're going to share. We're going to relate. We're going to relate and learn.
together we are stronger. So yeah, I hope you
And you
hear
can
me.
see
It's
the
not-
hair color. Purple is my favorite color. I so wish my daughter was watching this show. She'd go like, "Mommy, that was supposed to be you, and you were supposed to be her."
I want to say one thing to you because I've got my little child from the heart. He's 10 years old. And I need to say this because I look at you. You know, I'm 52. And at this stage, I just want to say, yeah, and I've got a 10-year-old, but and I'm emotional when I say this to you. As a mother, as a friend, I want to say to you, because you said that you've hardly seen your 9-year-old daughter in the past 6 weeks. And I've done that. And I'm not going to do it anymore because I found that the devil will keep me busy with all of these stuff, trying to change Malema's heart, trying to get Mansoor to sit at the table with me. But he's shit scared to do that because he's going to look into my blue eyes and he's going to say to me, I'm going to ask him, listen, my friend, what makes you say these awful things about white people? Tell me, because if somebody has hurt you, really, I understand it. But they are so afraid to be in my presence because the love. But I'm not going to I will spend time away from my son and my family, but not like I did many years ago. Because what can I show at the end of the day?
Wow. Now, I'm not neglecting her in such a way. Maybe
I'm
she's
not
just
saying
very
that.
much full. And I'm a perfectionist, so I'm always judging myself. But I appreciate that. It is important. It is important, I think it was about 3 months ago, Annari, when I heard, I think it was on KFM, which is a radio station locally, and they had this whole you walk at the office when you go get coffee at the machine and you walk back to your table and how much you spill along the way because you're listening to what everybody else is saying. And I do believe that I have to focus on my cup, not to spill anything. So if I keep my cup full with my love and my commitment to my daughter and my family, and mostly if I fix my eyes upon Jesus, then I can do anything. And I know that, I am not, people contact me like from the security team that I'm starting to start and all of that. And people are like, what's happening? Why haven't I heard from you in a week? And I'm like, just have patience because you know what? All my life, I haven't had patience. That's the one thing that I know is the only lesson that I have to learn from God. Okay. And for the first time, I'm not rushing this group. This is not something that we are going to fix tomorrow. Like I said, no one's going to come rushing in to help us. My fantastic ideas and my positivity is not going to really change anything. I hope it rubs off on people. Your sincerity and your honesty and your information is so important. But together we can make a change, even if it's a baby step at a time. It's better than than not doing anything. But my daughter knows exactly. I tell her, and she loves me to the end of the world. And she says to me, "Mommy, you go do what you need to do for my future," because that's all I tell her. She's still at the believing you stage. My mom's and she's on loving life tonight.
Well, she's in the right place. Talking about that, guys, if you haven't subscribed to Loving Life, please do so now. We have fascinating discussions most nights at 8 p.m. Johannesburg time. Now, sorry, back over to you guys. I mean, I've just been enjoying listening to you chat away, and it's great to see that you're getting on so well, even though you have little differences. But I mean, it's wonderful. I think this is
on this show, Scott. Are you even on this show today?
Well, I've been watching from the side of it, but that's fine. It's.
When's your birthday? When's your birthday, if I may ask?
Are you asking me, Joanne?
Yes.
Yes, I'm having my birthday every year for the past 52 years on the 2nd of June.
Okay, on the 2nd of December. So at least we're the 2nd, huh? Next time we're first.
When are you having yours?
2nd of December. You can was here on a crazy sage.
That's exactly 6 months apart. Do you realize that?
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. And I just wanted to say to you, I never want to be arrogant. I'm sometimes, I always say to the Lord, whenever there's a difference between being arrogant and being boldly or speak boldly, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and I love people so dearly, and that's why I'm saying what I've realized this year with COVID-19 is the amount of hurt that is in all people. And you know what, our leaders in this country, maybe they had felt pain. I mean, I cannot
Maybe
say
they
that
also
they didn't.
struggled.
Yes, and I'm thinking about Tani Zuma, that woman, the arrogance of that lady. I
Yeah.
can what, sometimes Tani Zuma, Becky Tsele, Ramaphosa, Mr. Ramaphosa, sometimes he confuses me. And the thing is, because the word teaches me to respect them, I want to respect them, okay? It's really from the bottom of my heart. And I just wish that he could man up, because if he can, I don't know if it's him or whatever, but what I wanted to say is, if our leaders, and I'm talking all the leaders can forget for one moment about their stupid political parties and come to the realization that we as a country are in deep trouble. It's like
People are crying out for us to help them. Yeah.
Yes, I am even of opinion that the president of South Africa should not belong to a political party. He should be sitting in an office and he should be presented by these political parties with plans and ideas and things.
Wow.
Wow. You know what? So he can actually say, listen, you ANC people, are you thinking this through? I have an idea of a president who should not belong to a political party. No. He should send Mr. Malema back and say, you know what, Julius, this and this is kind of all right, because I believe there's some good in Julius as well. So listen, Julius, my son, this is good, this is bad. Go back to the drawing board and come back and present something better.
Yes, like a manager.
He should not belong to a political party. And then maybe, because what we need, look, we all have some kind of idea where Mr. Ramaphosa got his money. But if he was a good businessman, then you know what? Come and show us.
He wasn't securing it.
Yes, and he should be saying to. So yeah, that is my view. So I just want to say that I'm praying. I believe something huge is going to happen to our country, and I'm not speaking death over our country. Something big must happen, because it cannot continue like this. But I'm also praying. Yeah, I'm also just praying that God will come in a supernatural way. And you know what, Scott, let me tell you this, because my mum said to me this afternoon, and I also want to say this, and forgive me if I'm emotional. I don't know, Joanne, if you can remember in Brandfort, that place where you were for 4 years, your sabbatical, there was an old lady who was an amazing woman. She handed out food and everything, and then she were also brutally murdered, and by the same people, the children who she fed. Okay, so with this Hartswater murder, when I woke up this morning, I was lying in my bed. I wasn't a lot on social media yesterday, and I was speaking to the Lord and say, you know what, Lord, everybody is going to say, where were you? Where were you? And in that moment, I saw Jesus being crucified, and he was without sin. And I was thinking, if you look back over the past 2-3 years, all of these people, especially the farm people, were good people. They took care of the farm personnel, the workers, the employees. They were truly good people.
They gave food to people in COVID. They gave food to people who didn't have food in COVID.
Yeah. And you know what the Lord showed me this morning? The brutality, the aim of the enemy is to get people to turn away from God. And I believe in my heart, Dani, Uncle Dani, Tannie Breggie, and Elsabie were the most beautiful people. And they were killed in the most horrific way in order for us to turn away from God. And I will not. I will not. You know what? When I saw that their son-in-law faced those murderers this morning and said, we are not intimidated by you.
Wow.
I'm that opinion that I'm saying to the enemy, to Satan, look, I will do whatever I can do to kick your butt. And that is with love, with respect, and to pray, and to keep on praying for Tannie Zuma, Beketsele, Fikile Mbalula, all those people who are in a position of leadership because God has placed them there. But they will not be there forever and ever and ever because He will remove them. He will. And that's why I'm saying to you, you are a beautiful woman. I will follow you. I am going to visit you. I would love to train with the stupid, I believe in my heart, and I said it last night or yesterday to Ina Bonet as well. We have to train our families in our country to deal with trauma. We have to. Because if you don't deal with trauma, you are stuck either in fight, freeze, or flight.
Yeah. Now, Joanne,
Absolutely.
Joanne, what are your thoughts about what Annari's been saying?
I've just been nodding my head. I don't know if anyone can see. As I say, I am a child of God. I want to use a quick reference. Annari, I don't know if you've ever watched the movie The Shack.
Yes, I love it. It's awesome. It's awesome.
So, it led up to that point. I don't know who else have, but it led up to that point where he's in front of God and he asks, how come you are still protecting the people that does wrong? And we must realize, doesn't matter what religion you are, doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, you're still God's child. He's the only one that knows what happened to your father and his father beforehand. But we all have the strength through God to also stand up and change that cycle. Okay.
Yes.
I myself have been a victim of horrible acts in my life ages ago, but I didn't go and hurt more people. My point is, it is definitely a fight between good and evil at the moment.
Yes.
And we need to stay strong. Okay. We need to stay at his knees, and we can't. What we need to do most is lead by example, like Jesus did. That's all we can do.
Yes.
That's all we can do is lead by example. And I'm not the best example myself. My daughter sometimes says to me, Mommy, that F word. Okay. She points me out. Okay. It's like, Mommy, you just said the F word. And I'm like, okay. It's something small. But we need to lead by example in so many different levels. Okay. And I do think that we realize that we need to relate and we need to open ourselves up for conversations like this. I wish we can, Scott, I hope we can do this again a month from now with me and Annari. And hopefully we can have some people of other colors on here with us to give their point of view so that we can also understand their point. Okay. I'm not talking about any evil people, but there's a lot of people that needs the opportunity to open. Also, they want to help and assist. I mean, at Hartswater was a beautiful example for this country as to how those people stood there of all races. There were more colored and black people there than there was on the march
outside
on
the courthouse,
Parliament. There were more people of color yesterday in Hartswater. There were more tractors. There were more people actually doing something. They took off their day on a farm where they had to work from their little job where they earned nothing and peanuts, and they were there. But you know what I got when I wanted the march? Oh, what about COVID regulations? But what about social distancing? Are you wearing masks? And what is the government going to say? The government is the problem. So I'm not saying go and look for trouble, but I'm saying know what your rights are. And if you do good, only good can come from it. If you really, I know that you're going to get maybe a water cannon in your face and get blown 3 meters backwards. But if you really want change in this country, then you're going to face that water cannon. David and Goliath. David picked up 5 little stones and he moved that giant against his forehead. Sorry, but he did. Yeah. David, everybody over that's Afrikaans in this country will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm.
And that's why I say I have to keep on believing in this silly feeling that I've got from God and the Holy Spirit that I can pick up 5 stones, and with doing good, you, me, Annari, and a whole lot of people more, we can make a change. If we don't even have that hope and faith, we might as well give up today. We might as well stop
Yeah,
working
hands up.
and go and murder and loot and kill as well.
Yeah. And that will not
And
take us
that's
forward.
no, and I can't do that, by the way.
No,
I cannot give up. Yeah.
no,
But listen, you
no.
guys, I am officially going to sleep at my office because it's past 9 and 6 minutes away from 10 o'clock curfew, but I stayed at work. So, yeah, if I'm in jail tonight, will someone please just make a phone call?
Okay. Look, we're sorry, Jan. I didn't realize you weren't at home.
No, I have to keep you remember the dogs and the schnauzer and the
Yeah.
parents and the kids, everybody? No, too much background noise.
Now, is there anything you would like to say to people watching, Jan, just in closing?
Yes, Scott, I do think that you put my group's address on. We will have our NPO is going to, we're really struggling with the government, with offices closing up and down. And I'll keep promising another 2 or 3 days until people can start donating to our group. So I'm not going to call on that for now, but please watch my page, join the group. Annari, I'd love to work with you in the future. We've got each other's details now as well. And Scott, I thank you so, so much for this opportunity. Look, we can only do the little baby steps. And I do think that Neil Armstrong, or what was his name, one baby step is a giant step for mankind. If each person really did something positive, I do think we can go forward. Annari, thank the Lord Jesus for someone like you. I can only learn from you.
I just want to say a couple of things that you've said there. The Loving Life channel would love to have another live stream with you guys on, and perhaps Isel from Afriforum. One of the things that we do really well here with Loving Life, and I have to thank Marlena for this, is networking. So where we see kindred spirits like Annari and Joanne, we bring you together because that increases your network, and it means that you actually increase your exposure and what you can achieve. So I'm really pleased this has worked out well. Now, having said that, Annari, is there something you'd like to say to Joanne or to the group watching?
Scott, first of all, I want to thank you and Marlena again. I kind of feel like a celebrity now 3 weeks in a row, and I'm going to say I'm not available. But that is in a very humble spirit. I want to say thank you, Scott, for this opportunity. Joanne, I want to wish you and the group all the luck, all the wishes, all the best wishes for the weeks and the months and the years to come. I pray that God will rise up warriors that will love him first, and then hear from him where we go, how we go, and how to do it, so that we can be good stewards of him. So being said that, if I'm allowed to, Scott, can I just do a short prayer?
Absolutely.
And then I'm going to agree.
Absolutely.
So thank you again. Lord Jesus, I just want to thank you for Loving Life channel, for what Scott is doing all the way from Australia for us down here in South Africa. Lord, we need you. Yes, we need the world outside to see what is happening. But you see every day. You have seen the brutal attacks happening in our country by people filled with hatred. Father, tonight we come to you as your children, as South Africans, and we kneel, Lord, and we say, help us, forgive us, show us the way, heal our land, Lord. And Father, we pray for our leaders, especially our leaders, Lord, that you will change their hearts and that they will come to the table, Lord, and that they will come and do what they were supposed to do. Father, we thank you for our lives, and we pray tonight for every farm family, a family living on a farm who has lost a mother, who has lost a father, who has lost a worker. Father, we pray in the mighty name of Jesus that you will restore that family, even though someone is missing. We pray for love in our country. Father, we pray against the spirit of violence and corruption, and we pray in the mighty name of Jesus, Lord, that you will bring together every woman and every man of any color or race so that we can unite and that we can rebuild this country. We thank you in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so
Amen.
much. Thanks a lot.
Amen. Thank you so
Drive
much.
safe. I'm going to pray for you. Drive safely. You will not be arrested.
No, I won't. I
And-
won't.
I'll phone you, hey? And I'll send my regards to the cow in Brandfort tomorrow.
Please do. It's on the left street, second street to the left.
All
Thank
right.
you so much, Scotty.
Okay.
Thank you, Annari. I love you guys. Bye. And God bless South Africa.
Thank you so much, Joanne, and thank you, Annari, for joining us. It's been a hoot. I mean, it's been really interesting. Everybody in the side chat have loved the discussion, so we'll definitely have one with your blessing, perhaps in about a month's time, as Joanne suggested. And if we can get that Afriforum lady in, so we can broaden the network, and perhaps Joanne, if you could look at someone from your side, so we can bring them in as well.
Will do.
Alrighty.
Head of my company. Great stuff.
Okay. Take care, guys. Bye. Bye for now.
Bye-bye,
Good night. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, guys, I just want to, just in closing, oh, my camera's gone off. I'll leave it on here. I just want to say in closing, thank you so much to the moderators. Thank you for the work that you do in the side chat, and thank you for everybody who's watched this video. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here with us. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do subscribe. We have great live streams most nights and would love to have you on. Okay, with my camera not working and with the guests having left, I'm going to shut down the live stream. Take care, guys. Be well.